Toys, game boards, objects, viewed like pawns till we change up our mindset. Value of the dollars at the center of this conflict. Their lives only matter if they serve to make a profit. But if a midget sees further on the shoulders of the giant, then we should see further than the tyrant and build a future within the alliance where success is our science in the quest to go higher. It's the heart of the city.
This is HeartCity TV, and I'm your host, Kendall Chase. Welcome home, everyone. I am just so excited to have you guys back in my home with me for another episode of HeartCity TV. And this week is super special to me. Media matters, and we all know this to be true. If not, HeartCity would not even be in the position that it is in your homes week after week. But we also know that these hyper-local media outlets, such as HeartCity, we have a unique relationship with our communities, and we graciously serve them week after week. But there is an ecosystem that is thriving throughout the city of Philadelphia. And tonight, we're going to explore just that. We're going to learn about a special community news model that is started here in Philadelphia and garnered a lot of national attention in the recent months. And we're going to introduce to you guys our new HeartCity intern. We have another one. He's yet again from WorkReady. And we are not going to forget about our favorite segment, the EKGs. But first, we're going to begin with prayer. So all those that are within the sound of my voice, if you could please just bow your heads and close your eyes for a moment of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for yet another wonderful and amazing day. Thank you for waking us up and giving us breath in our lungs. We ask that you continue to cover us all, keep us safe from harm. Those within the sound of my voice and those outside of the sound of my voice, Father God, we ask that you reach out to them, touch them, cover them, continue to be the hedge of protection that they need in today's time. We ask that you step into this studio space with us, join each and every one of our guests, put into them what you want us to receive from them. Father God, we ask this and all great and amazing things in your wonderful and matchless name. Amen. We're going to go to a commercial break, but on the other side, we have our new HeartCity intern. This is HeartCity TV.
You ready to see what $2.5 trillion in spending power can really do? You ready to pool these resources and rebuild our infrastructure?
You ready to support your sisters and brothers that are building businesses at record rates?
This what trust looks like, what love looks like, what us looks like, yeah.
You ready to give back to the culture that's given you so much? You ready to continue the legacy of Black economic excellence? You ready to work hard and play harder? You ready to let the black dollar circulate?
This what trust looks like, what love looks like, what us looks like, yeah. New type of leveling, new type of excellence.
You ready for a banking platform designed for us to win?
¿Estás listo para unirte en nuestra colección de soñadores?
You ready for this marathon to continue? You ready to bet on black for real? Then get ready for Greenwood.
Yeah. New type of leveling, new type of excellence.
This is our time.
Philadelphia OIC fights poverty with education and job training. OIC will prepare you for a career with good wages. Learn about free training programs at philaoic.org or call 215-236-7700. We operate a safe environment with masks and social distancing. For a better tomorrow, call Philadelphia OIC.
We're back to HeartCity TV. Our next guest, I'm so excited about this. For many of you, you may remember that I have had a long and extensive career in youth development. And so when presented with the opportunity for Heart City to partner with young people throughout our city, I always jump on it. And I'm grateful that I am a part of a platform that sees the value in partnering with those that serve young people. Well, this summer we partnered with Educators for Education, and they are a work ready location, and they assign young people throughout the city to different work ready sites. And Heart City TV, we are a site, and this week we have one of our interns joining us, Mr. Toyer Seagraves. How are
Hi,
you today, sir?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing wonderful. So you and I get to meet along with some of your colleagues every single day, and you are part of this work ready program. Tell us, why did you decide to work for Work Ready and not just go and work for a supermarket or some other, fast food place? Why Work Ready?
I decided to work at Work Ready because I feel like it will be like more easier and the hours are more flexible for me.
Okay. Okay. Now, how old are you, Toyer?
I'm 14.
You're 14. And where will you be attending school in the fall?
Fieri.
Fieri. So Fieri Charter School. Fieri, stand up. One of your incoming freshmen are here on Heart City TV. We're excited about that. So what are you looking forward to with high school coming, ahead of you?
Sports.
Okay. Okay. What sport are you going to be looking to be participating in?
I want to try like a lot of different sports this year, so I'm gonna try to do track, basketball, and football.
Oh, okay. So you're going for the trifecta. You're just going to keep the whole year busy. Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
Heart City family, if you can cover my good friend here, Mr. Toyer, we want to make sure that he has the skill sets. So if anybody can offer him any training, reach out to us. But also let's keep him covered and protected as he goes throughout the city, making sure that he is participating in these activities. We talk about this all the time. How do we keep our young people engaged? So, Toyer, you and your colleagues are tasked with sending my team an article every single day. We talk about these articles, we explore them, we see if they're newsworthy, and if they are newsworthy, not just to the world, but to our community. And you and I found an article that we thought was interesting this week. So before we get started and jump too deep in, are you ready for the EKGs?
Yes.
All right.
This is the EKG, the part of the show where we place America front and center on the monitors of the American people. We will look for irregularities in the heartbeat, offer solutions on the issues we find in order to make America healthy once again. So fire up the machine. Let's start the EKG.
I giggled a little bit when I saw this article. It hit a little special place in my heart. My very first full-time job, or not full-time, but after school job, was at a supermarket, ShopRite Stand Up. I worked there at 67th and Haverford. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, this is interesting. This week's article for the EKG is no more bags. No more bags, but also no more baskets. A New Jersey supermarket, or supermarkets in the New Jersey area, they're saying that shoppers are taking all of the baskets home. Now, for those of you that are a little old school like me, we remember when supermarkets started adding the feature where you had to put a quarter into the shopping cart before you could take it into the store. That was the way you got it. And that was the way to get your quarter back. You had to put it back. Or when they started putting the locks on the wheels so that they wouldn't get too far away, because we would see shopping carts throughout the community helping people get their groceries home. But now, since we have a law in both New Jersey and parts of Pennsylvania where we're not distributing bags when we purchase items, we have individuals who have now resorted to taking the baskets that you use to gather your groceries as you walk through the store. They are taking them home with them. Very, very interesting. Toyer, when we first looked at this article, we were like, taking the baskets. What was your initial thoughts when I presented this article to you?
Who can you really blame for them taking the baskets?
Yeah, who can you really blame? So let's break that down a little bit more for our audience. Tell us, all the little things that you kind of put out there for me to consider.
So I put out that like they wasn't considering how that will affect the low income people. Like it was like I thought they was really focused on like the high income, like people without a car, and like people without that shop with food stamps that don't get cash benefits. How are they supposed to get their groceries home if they can't pay for the bags and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot of little nuances that we're not considering. I know of a lot of people that carry those reusable bags in their cars, but I can imagine that it would be cumbersome to carry those reusable bags on a bus ride, or maybe you forget them, or maybe you went to work and you stopped to get groceries on your way home for dinner tonight. Or like you said, the income issue that we could be possibly exploring. Individuals just really not having the ability to buy a bag to take their groceries home. But can you imagine what it looks like? I'm picturing the Please Touch Museum and that little feature in the Please Touch Museum where they go through the kids go through the shopping store, the grocery store, and they have the little baskets as they're walking out with all their little stuff in it. That's what we are now seeing. And so how do you think, if grocery stores have to replace these baskets, who do you think they're going to pass this cost on over to?
The higher ups.
Yeah, it's probably going to come to the consumer. So this is definitely an issue. One of the things you and I talked about was how do we advocate for our community to really understand the proper way to even get their elected officials to understand that this is bigger than just a grocery bag. While we're trying to save the world, how do we also deal with the present issue of people being able to comfortably get groceries home? We talked a little bit about that. So you live in a community and you and your family have experienced going grocery shopping without bags being distributed. How does your family handle groceries now? I'm sure you're not the one purchasing them. I'm assuming that the adult in your household is doing that, but you're probably there to gather the stuff, take it in and out. How's that happening for you guys?
It's happening like it's pretty cool because, well, like we always got change for the bags.
Okay.
So, like, ain't really a problem for us for real.
Okay. So that's good. I mean, I think, I've forgotten my bags at home and would not like to have the added $1 or $2 to my bill just to purchase enough bags for my order. That would be cumbersome to me as well. So this was, an interesting article for us. And so we don't have this article to put up, but I'm going to throw out another article that we talked about this week as well. And that is that there is the Farmer's Almanac is saying that this is going to be one of the coldest winters. it's going to be colder than normal, and that they are able to predict that now. How does your generation feel about global warming? Do you think it is relevant and important, something to consider now?
I feel like that's like a yes and a no.
Okay.
Cause like I don't know, like I really don't. I don't know right now.
Okay. Okay. Well, one of the interesting things that your colleagues brought up in the meeting was that they thought it was interesting that you can predict this further out. So as you're going into high school, do you think science is something that you may want to explore so that you can understand a topic like this a little more?
Yes.
Yeah. So for our audience, they are saying, the Farmer's Almanac is saying that they are predicting this January to be one of the months that has the heaviest rain and snow for the eastern 2/3 of the country. So, hey guys, those of you living, I would say probably North Carolina and up, you're going to have a lot of snow. You're going to be frustrated with all the snow and the rain. However, February is looking like it will be a little warmer for you than normal. So it should balance it all out for you. This is definitely a global warming issue that we're seeing show up a little bit more and more. It's colder than it usually is. The winter seems a little shorter, but colder at times. We're getting warmer Februarys. That's a little odd. I'm used to having snow in February. So thank you, Toya, for joining us tonight. I know this was different. How was it? How was your first experience on air?
It was nice. I thought
It was
it
nice.
was gonna be way worse, but like it wasn't really nothing for real.
Okay. So what did you think it was going to be when you say way worse?
Like I thought it was gonna be like harder.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm glad that that we helped you keep it nice and easy and that you were comfortable here. I'm looking forward to having you back and just hearing more about your first year in high school. So we'll be staying in touch. Heart City family, again, if you have a local business that you have and you have an opportunity to serve young people like Toya, I really, really would encourage you to take the opportunity in the wintertime to seek out Philadelphia Youth Network or any of the WorkReady vendors, because this is an excellent opportunity for us to pass the skill sets that we have on to the next generation. Keep the businesses alive. Also, they get an opportunity to learn something amazing from those of us that have perfected these skill sets, but also they are safe, they are engaged, and they are getting paid. So they have money to go buy their own school supplies. I don't know about anybody else, but that is exciting to me. So Toya, I am looking forward to hearing more about you and all the work that you're going to be doing this school year. Thank you for coming on tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right, we're going to go to another commercial break. And on the other side, I am so excited to have some of my colleagues in a collaborative that Heart City is participating in and has been for over a year. You see the logo every week on our screen, the nice news and information community exchange program. I am excited to hear more about it, to share that opportunity with you guys. On the other side, this is Heart City TV.
Hey, look, I know you're worried about your commute, but I found a shorter route.
The difference between an agent and a realtor is real.
Less traffic, too.
Neighborhood expertise beyond the listing. That's who we are.
Welcome back. This is HeartCity TV, and I am so excited. We have had this gentleman on the show several times this year, but never in this capacity. And this is the capacity that I spend the most time with him. So I'm welcoming home Mr. Eric Marsh. How are you, Eric?
I'm blessed, Kendall. I'm blessed. How are you doing?
I am wonderful. You've had some time away, hopefully to get a little sunshine, rejuvenate, get back working, doing the community outreach that you always do, that you're phenomenal at doing. And we get to have you here to talk about this little logo that is always on the left side of our screen that we've had many, many people ask, well, what is that? And why is it always there? What are you guys a part of? And that's nice. That's nice.
That's
I mean,
nice.
it's and it sounds so cool. So it is the News and Information Community Exchange.
Exactly.
And you were one of the launchers of this initiative with WHYY. So tell us about why nice. Why nice?
So first of all, even before we get into why nice, like what is nice?
Yeah.
I guess the mouthful would be nice, as you clearly stated. The News and Information Community Exchange is a mutual aid grassroots news collaborative. And that's a lot of jargon to say that we are a group of media creators who work closely together, who provide information, important information, and specifically news and information to our very local communities. And when we describe communities, that can be either geographic or demographic. And I use those phrases to say you can be serving a particular part of the city, a particular zip code, or a particular group of people. And so we have 12 partners currently, and those partners serve a range of audience members and community members with the content that they create. So NICE is really designed to bring together media creators who are typically left out of mainstream media conversations, right? There's often there has been traditionally a absence of Black and brown and LGBTQ representation, particularly in news and information. And I have to give a lot of credit to WHYY before we even get into the impetus of this program, because WHYY, like many other news outlets over the past several years, really had to take a hard look at itself. The news industry has been struggling for some time. And to its credit, WHYY did an internal audit and looked at its newsroom and found that 80% of their reporters were white male in a city that's majority minority at the time, right? You're not accurately representing the city that you say you represent. And those of us who either know, live in, or have grown up in Philadelphia know that WHYY is a Philly institution. And so they took it upon themselves, after recognizing the makeup, to start implementing some steps and processes and programs to rectify that disparity. And NICE is one of them.
When Heart City became a part of NICE, which helped us become a part of the extended family of WHYY, I think in my 40 plus years of life, I did not realize just how wide the range of programming that WHYY helps to put out to our city that I'm used to tapping into, but not recognizing that it comes from them. Do you mind just sharing with our audience a little bit about some of those different things that they may see every day or interact with every day, but not realize where it's coming from?
Oh, absolutely. So first of all, I think a lot of Philadelphians misunderstand WHYY, and we're often referred to Channel 12 as WHYY, right? But Channel 12 is just the television media outlet for WHYY. WHYY is a public media outlet. WHYY broadcasts not only on television, but they also broadcast on FM, which is 90.9, and
Right.
AM. And they also have digital and other platforms. So, for
Mm-hmm.
instance, when we talk about WHYY FM, um, many people don't realize that Fresh Air is produced here in Philadelphia at WHYY. Fresh
Mm-hmm.
Air is a nationally, and some would even say internationally known program.
Right.
Fresh Air has actually been on the air, I want to say 40 years at this point. They started in the mid 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still staff at WHYY who were here from the very beginning, along with Terry Gross. Um, and it's a nationally recognized program, but it's produced right here in Philadelphia at WHYY. So many people will tune in, and they may figure out a way, or like their particular taste might be Fresh Air. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Marty Moscawane is also a host at WHYY. Radio Times is another very popular FM
Right.
program. We've actually have uh, two other news outlets or publications. Billy Penn. Billy
Billy
Penn
Penn.
is actually an outlet that WHYY acquired a few years ago, and that is all about Philadelphia and it's very
Mm-hmm.
Philly centric in its programming. But a lot of people don't know or wouldn't realize that that's under WHYY's label. So many other programs, TV programs like You Ought to Know, which is a series that WHYY highlights activities and community organizations and artists and businesses around the city. So there's a whole list of programming. You can go to WHYY.org and
Yeah.
just spend all day in any one of those lanes in terms of the content that WHYY produces, along with the website, which has exclusive digital content as well.
So I always found it interesting that despite the fact that they have like some of the most amazing content that comes out of Philadelphia, like you pointed out, FM and AM radio. You know, we have our Channel 12 that we all know so well, but also Billy Penn. And even though they understood that their newsroom didn't reflect the city that they were serving, they could have just kind of tweaked it internally and went about their business like many other national news conglomerates would have done, right? But they still took that as an opportunity to see how they could serve Philly in a very unique way that kind of taps into what makes us special, our neighborhoods, or how we come together in kind of like little clusters throughout our city and how we interact. We have our own ecosystem for sure in
Absolutely.
Philadelphia. And I think NICE is a great representation of that ecosystem. Share
Absolutely.
with our audience how, or I should say a year and a half ago, right? Is it almost 2 years? About a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 years.
How you and some other colleagues came together for the launch of NICE and what that looked like.
Well, first, I mean, I have to give credit to Sandra Clark and Chris
Mm-hmm.
Norris. As many people in the industry know, Sandra Clark is a just groundbreaking change
Yes.
maker. She has been doing amazing work for many, many years. Originally, she was with the Inquirer before she came to WHYY several years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, at the height of the pandemic, so actually prior to the pandemic, they were looking at, again, this internal survey. Is looking at the data of WHYY, who they serve, who they weren't serving. Um,
Mm-hmm.
To all credit goes to WHYY for bringing Sandra Clark on board. But then Sandy got a chance to work with Chris Norris. And Chris has a background as a grassroots media maker, formerly of Tech Book Online.
Right.
And it was really a combination of Sandy's professional experience, Chris's grassroots experience, and their understanding of their position within WHYY as a legacy institution, right,
Mm-hmm.
that needed to reflect Philadelphia better. That they started looking at ways to reach out and connect more with grassroots content creators, Black and brown LGBTQ creators, people who typically didn't fit the mold of a
Mm-hmm.
journalism or a newsroom outlet, right?
Right.
And so it was through that process and through the gracious grant that we received from the Knight Linfest Local News Transformation Fund that they came up with the concept of NICE, and understanding that our audiences are not just consumers of news and information, they're also creators of it, right? So just like you are here hosting HeartCity TV, but you also look at other outlets, you consume information, you have opinions on different things, you have an awareness, you serve as a source. And so rather than reporters, historically, what they used to do is what we call parachuting in. They're outsiders. They go into a community and extract information and extract stories. Well, why not have people in those communities tell their own stories? Who better than the folks that are already living those experiences? And so at the heart of NICE, that's really what it's about. People being able to tell their own stories, come together, serve their communities, but as we do every week, come together in a network and actually build off of one another and support one another and grow this network across Philadelphia that we call NICE.
And so we have 12 partners. HeartCity is one of those partners. There are an amazing group of individuals, and they're not all digital on screen. We have a nice blend. What was the team's process in looking for partners? What was some of the things that you guys were looking for?
Well, the first thing I want to say is that, to Sandy and Chris's credit, and WHYY, the first thing that they did that was different than any other news outlet, what they would have done, was hire me, someone who is not a journalist, right? Because it's a media outlet or journalism, a news outlet specifically. And this is all NICE falls under the news department of WHYY. So I went through, explaining we have a lot of programming, but our news department is really where NICE lives. And so they reached out to me, someone with a background of community engagement and community outreach. And I think that perspective was able to, for WHYY and NICE to really shift how we operate with one another. Right? I'm not taking you to journalism school. I'm not teaching you about an inverted pyramid structure. I'm not asking you for essay, right? We are building community first and recognizing that all of you as NICE partners and all of the creators around this city, you bring a level of expertise to the table and you can teach us, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing was, as we were looking around for creators, we wanted people who, one, represented their community in a professional manner, in a consistent manner, meaning they had done it consistently, not necessarily over a long period of time. Because some of our partners, I'll give you an example, Eric Nzeribe, publisher of Fun Times magazine. He started his magazine in Liberia in the mid-70s. He's been publishing Fun Times for over 40 years. Yet we have someone like POC of Revive Media, who, although dabbling in media and radio, really started her Matter Now segments and really started ramping up after the George Floyd murder and protests. Supportive Older Women's Network, we call SOWN. They specifically created a newsletter to serve senior citizen community members across Philadelphia at the height of the pandemic, to provide them information about COVID, its response, and where they could find resources. Brand new organization, but again, with institutional knowledge that could benefit all of the partners. So that's really, the main thing was, what is the quality of the content that you're creating? Those were the things that we were really looking for and are looking for.
It's always amazing when we sit in the team meetings that we have, the cohort meetings that we have, and it's one topic is dissected with 12 different perspectives and 12 different community thoughts of how to attack it. And it is inspiring many times. And so the inspiration is also part of this process. And I think it was very intentional on the part of you and Chris and Sandy in the beginning, for us to be inspired, but also inspired to be collaborative. with each
Yes.
other.
Yes.
Not to
Absolutely.
be not to be separate entities, but to be sources that could build upon each other and support the work of each other. Um, Tell us about that process, because I'm going to bring in somebody that really helps shape that part of the conversation. But I want you to
Yeah.
kind of begin that thought
Yeah.
process.
No,
That's different for people. We don't normally collaborate in 2022.
not just 2022. I mean, Philadelphia is a historically recognized as a city of neighborhoods, right?
Tell them.
And
Thank
and
you.
and that's a double-edged sword because it's really
Mhm.
a big small town or a small big city.
Mhm.
And people feel like a real homey sense, depending on if you're from Germantown or Nicetown or West Oak Lane or West Philadelphia, or South
Yeah.
Philly, Fishtown, all of these neighborhoods, right? There you can really get a sense of a hometown feel. However, at the same time, Philadelphians, we often don't cross boundaries either. And so
Mhm.
getting people to collaborate across these boundaries, whether they're, again, geographic or demographic, is really
Mhm.
difficult. And I will say, we also started in the middle of the pandemic, which was equally
Yeah.
difficult, or like made it doubly difficult.
Yeah.
But the benefit is that we all get to rise together. We all get
Mhm.
to connect one another. That old adage about spider webs uniting, right? Being able to
Mhm.
take small outlets and connect one another together and really just sit in the same room and talk together. You start to realize, oh, you're having the same issues I'm having, or better yet, you had the same problem I'm having right now and you have a solution. Oh, let
Correct.
me learn from you. Or here, let
Right.
me provide this resource to you. So it really is. I think we've really had to restate this in the recent months because, we've been together for a little while, a little over a year.
Mhm.
And sometimes you get into a rut or a rhythm and you can forget the value of what you have. And one of the things we've repeated is that the value of NICE is in the network itself.
It's in the network.
WHYY, like, this is not set up for Big Brother WHYY to be talking down to the other partners and telling you what you're supposed
Right.
to do. That's the reason why we call it a mutual aid collaborative. We're all at the table together. The only thing WHYY did was provide the table and say, hey, come, let's join us at the table
Yeah.
and let's have this conversation and build this thing together.
So I'm going to ask, I'm going to bring in an amazing partner in this collaborative of work that we do week after week. We have with the Saj Purple Blackwell. How are you, Miss Purple? Queen Purple.
Oh, thank you so much. Peace and greetings, everyone.
Peace
Hello.
and greetings to you. So this is for our audience. This is just a little bit of what the Zoom screen looks like week after week for us. It's just amazing faces of people that you see in your neighborhoods, but you don't always get to see together. Um, Purple, share with us about your platform. Let's start there, and then we're going to bring it into how the collaborative works with you and NICE. So let's start
Well,
with about your platform.
okay, well, thank you very much. And first of all, I want to say thank you and the whole, nice partnership really for making this introduction with HeartCity and you and Malik and all the work that you're doing. So yes, I'm one of the early partners, one of the
Yes, you
ones,
are.
who came along even before our beloved Eric Marsh. I was so honored to be selected by Chris and Sandy, for my work. I happened to be the first Black woman to own an internet radio station, independent radio station in the city of Philadelphia, very proudly so.
Yeah.
Since I birthed the station, there have been many more, which I'm very happy to see. And so it was a wonderful experience to be tapped in for just being me, just promoting and doing what I do every
Yeah.
day. And then being able to become part of NICE and then to still be myself was amazing. Is amazing, So there were no really real expectations of the way that they wanted me to do my community news reporting. What I was doing is what they wanted. And then they wanted to come in and uplift me and uplift my movement, which I was like, wait a minute, talking about this sound fishy. Well, you want to celebrate me for what I do, and then you want to uplift me in what I do, and then you want me to combine me with other great people to make magic. So it definitely sounds like a story in a book. But for me, it has been a fairy tale, one that has had its ups and downs. But for me and Nice, it's been all up for me.
Yeah.
And I claim that without being, I'm unapologetically claiming that the wonderful opportunities that I've had since I've been with Nice. So, being, a hyper local media, quote unquote, in the hood, and being the popular hood news, there's a lot of responsibility comes with that. But there's a lot of trust from your community that comes with it as well. So I believe that WHYY, specifically, namely Chris and Sandy, were very, very big intellectual beings, very big brains, to be so gracious to bring other people together who are, technically we're competition in the hood, technically, because our hood, our viewers and followers are not ones that typically would watch WHYY for any particular reason, except if we're on it, so how wise were they to tap into 12 different demographics, 12 different media makers and tap into their bases and exploit them and help them grow. And it's a wonderful way you can use the word exploit in a good way.
Yeah. Because sometimes we hear words, and we automatically think of it in the way that we're used to it. And in this particular case, the exploitation was in a very positive forward motion for all parties. It truly was a collaborative effort that helped all parties to move forward. So you were one of the first. You were in Nice, you were already doing your news reporting. And Eric and Chris and Nice was bringing to Purple and to PQ Radio 1. You guys, they were bringing a certain added value. What was that added value that they could offer to your outlet?
Right. So, for instance, and I enjoy using this example, as I began to grow, continue, I've been in the streets covering the mayor, giving, I always say my information is the porch to city, with the city hall to the porch. I bring the information from city hall to the porch because not a lot of us care when we're watching the news, really they're watching the news to see what the latest murder is, pretty much. So I was able to bring City Hall to the front porch. And I think that in seeing my ability to be able to have politicians trust me, have the community trust me, all the way up into the mayor and all the way up into the grandma on the corner street, on the corner of the street, that's what made it make sense, to kind of to tap into a person like me and to tap into a person like the partners that they have chosen. It definitely for me was interesting in the type of people that they chose to put together, because how do you get Purple and then you get a Chinese Metro, so what a wow factor, and like I said, the diversity of people that they were able to choose for this opportunity. But anyway, before, as I was saying, I was always, I cover community news with different other community partnerships, and I was able to connect with a popular media platform in Philadelphia called No Gun Zone. And when I partnered with No Gun Zone, basically because he was a very elusive individual, he always puts out, people go to his page for the news, whether it's his news that he produces or news he brings, and puts on his page.
Right.
And he was very elusive. Not many people were able to speak to him or interview him, but his passion through his posting is felt by everybody in Philadelphia. Yes. So I was able to interview him in the wake of a shooting on 60th Street by 60th and Market, a popular designer their neighborhood was riddled with over 100 bullets during a barbecue. And we were able to cover that story together. And then WHYY provided me the resources, the camera person, the editing person, to put the whole thing together for me. So I was able to do my normal reporting, but my whole, my whole interview, my whole experience was lifted up by WHYY. And then once that collaboration happened, we were able to actually hit, I don't know, top 5 on the national news circuit. So little old purple Blackwell from West Philly, sweet Philly, hailing from Chester, was able to make national news. I think we were actually at number 2, but to be like, the top number 5 on that news cycle, throughout the week, and to witness it and to see the process and to see what it means, it was just an amazing moment for me. And it really lifted up myself and my platform and my reporting style. Because everybody's always used to seeing, the Katie Couric, the Alex Haley, and them, that type, more proper type, on TV. But to uplift somebody who is, community and not scared to say, you know what I mean, and make it clear, and make it okay to do that and to lift me up in that way was amazing. Something that will is historic for me and for my opinion, WHYY, to have a non-entity, non-news source, because everybody's always throwing that word. Are you really a journalist, or performing active?
Yeah, we get that, don't we?
You're not really a reporter, but being a non-reporting technically, and being able to be number 2 or number 4 or number 5 on a national news circuit, I could die tomorrow. I'm good.
Yeah, we actually, listen, I can't tell you how proud I am of all of you, but particularly Purple, because of what she said about that transformation over such a short period of time. And yes, they did approach you before they approached me. And yes, before there was even a thing called NICE, you were on the radar. So kudos to you for being consistent and showing up, because you and Chris were standing side by side reporting in City Hall. And I think that goes back
many a day.
Yes, that's a testimony to how long you've been doing what you're doing. And so we don't get into the whole journalism conversation, right? We identify NICE partners are people who commit acts of journalism, right? And ever since, I think the best example of it is ever since the filming of the murder of George Floyd was done by a young lady with a cell phone camera standing on the curb, who dedicated herself in that moment to being there and to capturing that and to being a witness to this moment. That was an act of journalism. She subsequently won, I think, a Pulitzer Prize for her video work on that, just being able to be there, record it, and actually serve as a witness. So we recognize the fact that these NICE partners, and again, when we talk about these 12 partners, Emma Restrepo, Colombian-born, award-winning journalist, Spanish-speaking. We talk about Nora El Marzouki and Yaroub, who are publishers of Friend, Peace, and Sanctuary Journal, the first Arab language journal in the Philadelphia region in over 100 years, right? Purple mentioned Daniel Sao, the publisher of the Chinese Metro Weekly and Viet Metro Weekly, right? Asian language and Vietnamese language, Chinese and Vietnamese language publications. This is the diversity that we're representing, that we have present in NICE. And so what we're all about is really figuring out ways that we can transform the local news ecosystem, right? We use this phrase ecosystem because an ecosystem is a system of multiple systems that work together, right? So when you talk about the news and media ecosystem, you have people who are publishers of print newspapers. You have folks like Purple, when internet radio stations. We have folks like James Williams, Uptown Standard, who's a publisher. Eric Nzaribe, a magazine, HeartCity TV, here on YouTube and digital, right? So these are all the different mediums and the different ways that partners share their content, but they're still serving that purpose of diversifying who gets news and information and who produces news and information. And I just can't tell you how proud I am of all of you.
Well, thank you, Eric. I also think, and I like to kind of explore just for a few minutes, the type of news, because we don't just report acts that happen throughout our community, but we also take the time to kind of bridge that community piece, really highlighting our community and seeking solutions. And all of those individuals that you mentioned, I can think of how they approach their their news
Mm-hmm.
and how it impacts their community. We're very mindful of that. And yet NICE was also mindful of that and not getting us a traditional journalist to bring us together, but to get someone that was also community minded. Eric, do you mind just kind of maybe helping us understand what NICE might have thought about or what they're thinking about when they said, let this be a little bit more about community and less about traditional news?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So, there's a theory behind NICE, and that is one, again, I think I mentioned it, that community members are not just consumers of news, but producers of it, right? So we recognize that in this new digital era, everybody has a platform. Everybody has social media, whether it's Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and some people, some people are out there doing dances and, telling jokes and, all of that. But there are some people who are actually relaying important information. And we saw, I believe, even prior to the pandemic, but the pandemic presented a new perspective on how we all operate and the systems that are in place. So again, not just consumers, but producers of it. Our audience can be our collaborators, right?
Yeah.
So Purple can tell you, Purple has been featured on several of our community conversations. Originally, I think when we started off with Neighbors in the Crossfire was about her and her husband's experience in West Philadelphia in relation to gun violence. Now, think about it. Now she's talking to No Gun Zone with the microphone in her hand. That's a transformation that you can't really see in a lot of other places. And then the third thing I think that all of you have expressed an appreciation for is that we operate at the speed of trust. So we're not telling you what to do. NICE and WHYY isn't coming in saying, this is how you're supposed to do it. Why? Because we've already seen that the way it's been happening is not the best way for all of us who are consumers of news and information. So those are some of the core values behind what we do. But there's also a theory that once we create and bring together this grassroots news and information network of providers, we connect you with mainstream folks. So like Purple said a few minutes ago, we provide resources. We provide access to resources. And then once you do that, the community then shares its talent and shares its resources more willingly. And we all get to experience a wider diversity of content, right? Like we talked about earlier. Who would have ever thought that the local, a small newspaper in Germantown, would have had a community event with an all Arab community from Northeast Philadelphia. And those communities got a chance to come together and share their stories. So it's a much more deeper, nuanced process that we're really looking at and how we bring transformation to this local news ecosystem. It's not just news, it's media as well. But we're starting with the news industry because, again, we've seen how vitally important it is for our broadcasters and our reporters to look like us, to be able to build that sense of trust, to be rooted in our community and not parachuting into our community. I could go on and on. I feel like I would be here all night talking about this, but
our audience is enjoying it, so don't worry about that part. And so because we're building this foundation is built on trust, from WHYY through all of the partners. This model has become quite interesting to other cities and other outlets that are like, wait a minute, there's Philadelphia once again. And, I been around the country enough to know that people don't always look at us in the best light. They keep bringing up us with the Eagles and Santa Claus. Yes, we threw a snowball one time at a Santa Claus at an Eagles game, and we used to have a jail in our stadium. But we do so many amazing things, and this particular project is getting a lot of national attention. Tell us just a little bit about that, and then Purple, I have a few questions for you as well.
Yeah, so I guess the first place I would start is just the industry recognition. The Linfest Institute did a feature article on us. Another colleague here in Philadelphia, Andrea Winsel, who's a researcher and a journalist, really looked into and studied and talked to all of the partners and did a really amazing report on the state of local journalism in relation in using WHYY as an example and NICE as, you know, a model for what could be recreated. We also have been featured in several different conferences. I'm thinking of Montclair State University's Collaborative Journalism Summit that we've actually participated in twice. And we've only been around just under 2 years at this point. So to be in back-to-back collaborative journalism summits. And another thing I'm most proud of is we were finalists as part of the Local That Works contest from the Current. And excuse me, not from the Current. I forgot the publishers of the Local That Works contest. Forgive me. But they're actually just launched this year's version of the contest. And they're looking for individuals to share their collaboratives. And the whole concept behind the Local That Works contest is ideas worth sharing. I mean, ideas worth stealing, excuse me.
Yeah.
And it's all about how are news media outlets intersecting and collaborating, working with community members. And out of over 100 finalists, NICE came in the top 3.
Yeah.
And this was within the first year of our existence. So people have really latched on to what we're doing. The New York Times is doing something very similar. There's a lot of philanthropic organizations like the Knight Foundation and Linfest Institute who are funding different forms of collaboratives. And so, you know, we were listed amongst the top 40 collaboratives in the country for news and community outreach and connections and relations. So it's been, I can't tell you all of them because some of it is really fascinating. Folks have been reaching out to me in different avenues. And again, I don't have a background in journalism. I study as much as I can, but it's always interesting when, you know, I got an invitation from POV, which many of you may be familiar with their short film series. POV stands for point of view. They've been around many years. They've asked me to sit in as a judge this year on their short film series. So there's all of these different things that have come out of the fact that WHYY was at the vanguard of really reaching community members in a different way, in a way that journalists traditionally don't. There's this idea of objective journalism, right? That you have to have some distance. If you're a reporter or you're a journalist, you have to maintain a distance away from who you're reporting on, the community reporting on. And what we realized is that objectivity is a myth. Every journalist comes with a slant. They come with their own lens and their own bias. There's a reason why you cover the stories that you cover. And we need to embrace that. And nobody does that better than the grassroots community folks like our NICE partners and like you ladies here.
Purple, you not only blazed that trail for us as partners, but you also kind of blazed the trail for partnering with partners. Tell us about a few of your partnerships that you've developed, just so that I really want people to understand, our audience to understand it. The most amazing thing to me about NICE is that we're no longer competitors, but teammates in this journey of getting information out to our communities as a city, you know, and you've kind of blazed that trail a little bit for us to show us ways to do that.
Yeah, let me also just piggyback off of what Eric was saying in regards to us. Really, we have NICE and WHYY has been the trendsetter, you know, on this collaborative, you know, throughout the nation. And right off the bat, there were, you know, news networks and everyone talking about how do we do what NICE is doing? Like it's, I think that it's, you know, Eric is being very humble on the fact that we have actually, you know, we are the trailblazers, and we made everyone else across the nation understand that, wow, you know, community news is important and it is news, and a collaborative of this type is possible. You know, so kudos to, again, you know, WHYY and, you know, Eric and the whole team. And Sandra and Chris, because what we are doing is a trailblazing, historic movement across the nation. And also, we were just Emmy nominated again for one of the collaborative works that we did with 6ABC and our partners, myself and Chris and many others, for the Gun Violence Town Hall. So, racking up Emmy nominations, this is major. These are not small things for people who
exactly,
did not go to college for journalism and set out to be, quote unquote, the traditional journalists, but are still making these groundbreaking, collaboratives and movements, although they're like little, pellets in the water, but they're gone. The ripples are really extending through the ocean. So I think it's very important, and with collaboration, particularly with NICE. I mean, I believe that one of my first collaborations was actually with James from the Uptown Standard, and we've actually, and the one thing about what's real is that although we are part of NICE and we have all these wonderful ideas, not every idea makes it. Not every idea makes it across the cutting board, and we all have to learn that even in our own lanes of amazingness. There's still work to do, and there's still places to grow, and with making the NICE, the pearl, making NICE the pearl, as to that's what we need to attain. It's not really working with WHYY as much as it is working with each other. There is a lot of ability to that, and the more willingness we have to collaborate with each other just creates more opportunity for all of us. And WHYY actually, and then for also WHYY to see us in lights that they even more didn't know that we they could see us, to be effective in that manner. So partnering with James, we actually did a whole segment on gun violence with Councilman Kenyatta Johnson and with Councilman David O, and it was amazing. Guess what? It didn't make the cut. But since then, so many other great things have come, from it, from our collaboration with Uptown. Then I've had the wonderful opportunity to collaborate with not Northwest local anymore, the local.
Right.
And then look at how that has transitioned. They went from being an East Falls paper now to, everywhere paper, really.
Everywhere paper.
And they were able to do that, through our NICE partnerships to help their paper grow. And they were intelligent to jump on the opportunity in ways that some of us even haven't done yet, but that because they've done it, they've made all of us do it. They brought us.
They kind of pushed us, didn't they?
Right.
And it's wonderful.
Anyway. And it's a wonderful collaboration. And it's come full circle. And where we all started out, even many of us now are getting grants for our work, in ways that we couldn't attain them before. So the lift is really wonderful in collaboration. Anytime that you can come together in a news collaborative that didn't exist but now exists, and on top of that, within less than a year, also qualify collaborative grants, and get money for what your life's dream is, your life's work, your chief aim, your legend is. It's an amazing opportunity.
It's an amazing opportunity.
To be part of the LendFest grant, to continue to support this NICE movement, and then to be part of our new one, Boost the Truth. Like we have a lot.
I was about to say, I was waiting.
Opportunities that are now also helping us financially lift ourselves up. So these collaborations are amazing. I don't know any other way to say it.
Well, I think, I just want to thank you both for coming on. HeartCity has been a part of NICE since, I want to say, March of 2021. We joined the NICE Collaborative, and it's been amazing to just kind of see how everyone is growing, and it's very inspirational. You kind of not only want to encourage someone else, but it kind of puts a little fire underneath you. Iron sharpens iron, right? And so in a city of neighborhoods, we have figured out that those that are reporting and keeping those neighborhoods informed are not staying in our own lanes. We're able to cross those lanes very nicely. Turn signals are working well for us and nice. And so I thank Eric. I want to thank Purple. I want to give you guys each, Eric, if you don't mind giving us 30 seconds, or both of you 30 seconds to kind of give us your closing thoughts on, just how media, and especially media such as Partners of Nice, how they matter.
Oh, wow. Again, I could talk all hard to do in 30 seconds. What I will say, the more diverse perspectives and stories that you hear, the more diverse perspectives and creators that we have in the room, the more we're able to actually see our commonality. Many people are afraid of having a diverse group of presenters or creators at the table because they think it's going to be chaos. And it is a little bit chaos, right? But the value in it, the reward at the end of it, is that you get to see our common shared humanity through all the different stories that we tell, through all the different complexions and all the languages and all of this, and really builds a greater sense of community. And as I always say, the rising tide really does lift all boats. And that's really what we're about, is making sure everyone is elevated through Nice.
Awesome. Purple, your 30 seconds.
Absolutely. I will just say that for anyone out there, there are many storytellers, in the world. And if you believe it, you can achieve it.
Yeah.
Period. Be who you want to be. Do what you want to do. Don't ever think that just because that I can't do this because, or I'm scared. I can't do that. Or we shouldn't do this because. You always need to step above and out of that comfort zone and know that you can do. You can be. Yes, there will be trials. Yes, there will be ups. Yes, there will be downs. There will be some days that you feel like you can. There will be some days that you feel like you can't. But just do it anyway. I'll always say, I'm just a little Black girl. What I'm saying, from across the world, who had a dream to be me, and who had the audacity to be me. Yeah. And then other people will love you for having the audacity to be you as well. So just do it. Whatever your story is, whatever your dream is, be sure to do it, because you never know how you're going to influence and change and inspire the world with your legend.
Yeah. I thank you both. Thank you so very much coming into my home, letting us into your home. Nice is, guys, we are boosting the truth. That is the new collaborative project that we are working on. And you'll see that we all have this way of knowing that, COVID is still very real. And because we've tapped into our communities and who our audiences are, we know that it's very real to each and every one of you. So I encourage our audience to look out for all these Boost the Truth events, Boost the Truth productions. There are going to be some shows. Digital platforms are going to have shows. Purple will be having people on her radio station. You're going to be seeing things coming out of Fun Times magazine. I mean, the list will go on. And I want to encourage you guys, we're not going to keep all the love here at Heart City for this particular one. We're going to ask you guys to go out and support, like we always do. Go out and support these other initiatives, because, guys, COVID is real. COVID is real, and it is still getting people under the weather, and schools are still affected by it. So we want to definitely kind of make sure that this information is shared. Eric, thank you. As always, you are Heart City family. You are always here, always welcome back. Purple, this is your first time, but I hope you felt at home and that you come back to visit us. I'm looking forward to working with you some more. Guys, it's beautiful to have my nice family on air with me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. So happy to be here.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Bye, guys. This has been an amazing evening. It is not often that you get to share time on air with family, with people that you get to kind of tweak your work behind the scenes. To do it in front of you guys has been a blessing and an amazing opportunity. I want to encourage you, like I do every single week, like, share, subscribe. Why? Because that's how you support Heart City and other platforms just like us. Like, subscribe, share our YouTube page. This is Heart City TV. I'm your host, Kendall Chase. Go forth and do great things.